in the house this morning. We had a snowstorm last night, so I've been outside for about an hour and a half or so, and I'm trying to get warmed up. I didn't realize I was cold, so I came inside and started thawing out. So I was just kind of snuggled up on here on the old couch that we have, fixed a cup of tea, trying to get warmed up. The dogs are laying around. Even they don't want to be outside right now. But I was snuggling up with some books that I purchased a couple days ago. So I wanted to show you what I had picked up and talk to you about used books, thrifted books, and how you can get resources for your homestead. So a lot of people these days are very new to homesteading, the mindset of homesteading, and you do not necessarily have the skills of the old ways, the kind of old-fashioned, what we think of now as old-fashioned skills, things that can help you with baking bread or canning or any of those things. So when I'm out thrifting at thrift stores, I like going to our local library. Has used books that people donate, and that raises money for the library. Or there's other thrift stores that I go to that have a nice book collection. And I spend a lot of time looking for certain things, certain subjects when I go there. So I'm going to show you a few that I've had, that I found in the past. I've never paid more than like $1 for any of these books. So over time they kind of build up. But I'll show you a few that I found from the past, and then I'll show you what I found this week. So I'm going to start with, in the past, like I'll try to find older cookbooks. So this one in particular is Outdoor Cookery, Pastry and Pies, Pickling, Preserving, and Canning Potatoes and Sweet Potatoes. It was number 8 in the Homemakers Research Institute. Does that even still exist today? And this is from my childhood, basically. I remember stuff like this. My mom or grandma. From Mary Margaret McBride, Encyclopedia of Cooking, Volume 8. All right, Mary Margaret, when did you print this? 1958, a little before my time. But anyway, I would have remembered something like this, the type of art that's in them from my childhood, because my grandmother would have had something like this, or something similar. But this one in particular, I was just looking through it. One reason I like to buy or purchase older editions of books is because a lot of these techniques, maybe certain types of tools, the vocabulary isn't part of our modern day vocabulary. So these books will help us teach the old ways, in that we can learn a lot about it and then take modern techniques and kind of combine them together. But I'm not going to start canning when I don't know what anything's called or have any idea of what's going on. My grandmother used to can. All the ladies would help, and I was usually following Grandpa on the farm. I don't know how to can. I do like dehydrating, so that's something I'm doing, and I need less equipment to dehydrate, but eventually I do want to start canning. So this will give me a lot of information on pickling, preserving, and canning. And I can learn from these older books because it has the techniques of the old ways, which is what we're trying to go back to. The ingredients, we're not really trying to go back to the old ways. We're trying to incorporate them in modern times to do the best that we can do, right? But forever we have cooked outside. I worked at a living history museum where we were cooking outside on the fire pits and things for Native American and English cooking. But I was looking through this book. Let me find it again. I should have marked the page. It talks about equipment hints. And here it talks about like sandwiches, hot from the grill, picnic sandwiches, appetizers, and barbecuing. A lot of really good information. And then it has a section on outdoor fireplaces, designs, and hints. You don't find that kind of information these days unless you're reading a preparedness magazine or something like that. But it talks about a lot of things, open fire cooking. So I find a lot of value in finding these old books. This even has designs, so you can build your own, and gives you ideas of what you can do on your own. And that's just a little section. Then they have the Pastry and Pie Book. So once again, I find a lot of value in these older books that talk about the old ways or older ways, things that have been lost to us because most of us have been living a very convenient life since the 60s, right? So I do like to go to the thrift stores, pick up these books. I usually pay 50 cents for them, at the most $1. And I'm also raising money for the cause, you know, for the local library or for whatever the charity the thrift store is associated with. I mean, the blueberry plants outside, one day I will get there before the birds do. And when I do, I will need the complete blueberry cookbook. And when I need that, I have it, okay? One day I will get more than a blueberry off there. But this is amazing. It's everything blueberries. And you can buy blueberries pretty well at the store. I try to get organic. How to serve them, blueberries for health. This is a gem to me. All right, so 74, 75. Second printing, 1975. The blueberry cookbook, right? Who doesn't need a blueberry cookbook? I've also picked up things like this is the Breads Cookbook. I really would like to make my own breads. We do some yeast breads, yeast doughs for certain things that are recipes from my mother-in-law. My husband knows how to make them, and my daughter has done really well. But this is all about baking breads. And I see these a lot in thrift stores. This series, Southern Living, has a whole series. It's like another 12 or 20 books or whatever it is. And again, these are from the past. These aren't what I picked up this week. The French Chef Cookbook, Julia Child. Now, if I had found the original Art of Cooking or whatever it's called, that would have been amazing. But I love her cooking because we had a great time living in Europe. We were living in Germany, but we traveled a lot to France, went to Italy. My son was in like 9 different countries by the time he was 7 years old, I think it was. So we had a great time. I like the European flavor of foods, and it's mostly because it's back to the original whole foods that most homesteaders are trying to do, cook from scratch today. So most of the foods are very rich in whole milks and cheeses and butters and that sort of thing. So I love having the French Cookbook by Julia Child. And I'm not sure, I wasn't going to tell you the date on all of these, but this is a 1968. It was originally published in 61, so it's not an original edition. I wish, right? All right, so this week I was out thrifting books. I hadn't been to the thrift store since before Christmas, and I found several books that sparked my interest. There's another one upstairs already that's on the Surrender at Yorktown. It's a commemorative book. It was printed in 76. I'm already reading it. Yes, Yorktown, you know, Revolutionary War. And the person that had bought the book was there for the 200th anniversary celebration. They have the stamps from the 16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th, which is the 200th anniversary celebration at Yorktown of the surrender of the English in 1781. So that's upstairs. That's like 50 cents for this book. But I did find the Gardener's Book of Verse. So I like reading about gardens and the outdoors and people who are out enjoying nature as much as I enjoy nature. But this is, what's great about this, it says, to my gardening daughter from a former gardener. So this is a dad that's passing along his gardening, his love of gardening and being outdoors in nature to his daughter. And it's a book of poems on gardening. That's just something that appeals to me. And I bet if I looked, this would not be available if I went to a bookstore locally. I picked up A Year in Provence, which I like to read. This is considered, someone I watch on YouTube was talking about travel books versus travel books. This is considered travel, but it's a story. It's not a travel like go to this hotel, go to that museum. It's a story on traveling. It talks about the months, and I think that's something I'd really be interested in. Oh my gosh. Food and history. This may, I don't know if that's going to be backwards for you guys or not. I'm not sure which way I'm filming. It's Asia until the Middle Ages. It's talking about food throughout history. So let me geek out for a moment on this because I absolutely love history, food, cooking, you name it. Oh, a gastronomic grand tour. That sounds exciting. All right, it talks about coffee and history of coffee in China and South and Central America, chocolate and the Spaniards. I mean, all sorts of things in here. I cannot wait to dive into this book. There was something I saw. What was it? Oh, The Modern World, 1800 until the present day. It talked about foods of the poor. So it talks about very basic foods that would have been available in history and how people survived before you had all this modernization going on. So I just can't wait to really get into this. And it was like $1. Now, I also found a field guide to edible and useful wild plants of North America. And it's just a little field book that talks about, plant. If you have to scavenge or something, you may have a piece of property and you're like, hey, what's this growing over here? Is it edible? How can I use it? Should I get rid of it? Is it an invasive species? You can find out if it's edible and what you can do with it. This next one, all last week, several times last week, I was looking into herbs. I was watching other folks' videos on YouTube. I was doing research on books I already had, Googling it, herbs. And when I was at the thrift store, I found Radel's Illustrated Encyclopedia of Herbs. This is a gem. I can't wait. Once again, I can't wait to get into any of these, right? Wow, look at all this. An encyclopedia talking about gardens. It's illustrated, talking about growing herbs, like the beds. All sorts of things. But an entire encyclopedia, this would have cost... I have no idea how much this would cost. This seems like a fairly new book, so I haven't looked it up yet, but it was $1 used, and it's pretty good condition. It's talking about dyes from herbs, the dye bath, all these things that I just, companion planting more, all the chamomile, everything about it. Like it will talk about elderberry, the history, the uses, when it flowers, the range, description, cultivation, false pretense, cosmetic, dyes, harvesting and storage, species, anything you want to know to get a good idea about elderberry. And if you want to grow it, of course you want to grow it because it's delicious and it's very good for you. But this, really helps to keep on a budget, and you're able to provide information to yourself or your family. I realize a lot of you can you can go to the library, but I like to have these resources. When it's late at night and I'm not ready for bed, I can snuggle up just like I was doing today. I'm trying to get warm, drinking my tea, and I can snuggle up on a subject that I want to learn more about for the moment. I may only have 10 minutes to take a break, but I can look at this and I don't have to worry about getting it back to the library because it's always late when I have a book checked out from the library. I know I can Google it, but I'm also trying to get off of the devices and spend less and less time with screens. So in order to save money on what I'm doing and also to have some good quality resources, consider going to thrift stores, used bookstores, ask your neighbors if they have any extra books. Maybe someone such as, this father says from a former gardener to his daughter, maybe someone is not going to be gardening, maybe they're downsizing and they're not going to be gardening anymore, but they may have some resources that you can have. Go to garage sales, yard sales, whatever you can, wherever you can find these resources. It will give you a lot of information. It'll increase your knowledge, and you can learn more and more about what you're doing, trying to be more natural, have better foods, know your history about where things come from. You learn a lot of terminology, things that we don't normally do. Maybe when you're growing up, you didn't do any of these things, and now you're trying to change your entire world. Well, you need the information to build up on that knowledge. You didn't have, it's been a really long time since my grandmother was talking about, bring me those jars, and let's do this. And she was in the kitchen directing all the ladies doing whatever she needed to be done, or she needed to have done. It's been a long time ago. I can picture that in my mind, the entire kitchen full of the aunts and my mom and, the different sister-in-laws and daughter-in-laws and what have you, as I'm coming through or coming in to grab something to eat before I run back outside. I can remember that frenzy. I can remember people not wearing gloves when they canned a lot of peppers. That was a tough day for some people in my family. So there's a lot of things that I may remember, but I don't have all the details. I need to have better knowledge, the vocabulary to improve what I'm doing. And so that when I do start canning, I'm more likely to start canning if I have some information in my little brain here. All right, guys. It is a beautiful day. I was outside for about an hour and a half in the snow, and now that I'm back inside, the sun keeps coming out, which means I'm going to have to go back out and get some video and get some pictures with the sun glistening in the snow on the branches, right? So that's going to be its own video in itself with the little journey I took, but I will put a couple of pictures in here. So I hope this has been helpful on how to find resources. Most of you probably knew this information, but I'm super excited about some of these titles. I want to show you what I found. Some good success here. So that makes me happy, makes me smile. And before I dive into some type of cleaning something today, I just want to let you know and share with you what I have found. So I hope that you are enjoying your homesteading journey. You're enjoying the weather no matter what it is, because you need to get out there and get some fresh air no matter what the weather is, right? You need to take care of yourself, kind of slow down, get off those screens, get some good books to read, curl up with in this cold weather. And otherwise, take care of yourself, and I will see you next time on Rose's Liberty. Bye.